Hello all, happy Thursday. Welcome to our, say that again. Hi guys, happy Thursday. Just admitting people, give me a minute. Welcome to the Thursday ICANN training. Just admitting some people here. And give me 1 second. Okay, so it looks like we've got some of the same people that we see every week. Welcome, Perry. Welcome, Peter. Good to see everybody. For anybody who's new, hi, I'm Kendra Rhodes, and every Thursday we do some training on Life Plan 360 and how all of that works, and some great tools and tips and tricks to get everybody rolling. So today, we are going to go through the software. How do you set up a client? How do you build them a plan? So we're going to go through the first appointment that you're going to have with a client today, and how all of that works. And we will continue that as well next week. So does somebody have a question? Guys, if you have background noise, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, if you guys have questions, please feel free to jump in. I do try to keep an eye on the chat box, but if I am ignoring your question, please feel free to jump in, because sometimes I'm doing something and I've missed it. Okay, so let me share my screen really quickly. Share, and admit some people. Okay, so can everybody see the LP360 logo?
Yep.
Good. Okay, good. Apparently last week I shared the wrong screen, so I like to double check. Okay, so when we're adding a new client, there's a couple of things that we need to know about them. And I will be asking for volunteers. We very much like class participation. So can somebody give me a name of, just make up a name? Anybody? Okay. Tony Smith. Awesome. So we are going with Tony Smith of 77 at gmail.com, which is actually be somebody there. Okay, so we also need their date of birth. So I'm going to assume that this person was born in 77, because that's what I just decided that their email address was. So 77 September 25th, 1977. So let's get started. So we now have built our client. We're also going to assume that this person is married. We will add Mary Smith. You can add her email address and phone number if you have that information, or if it's different than his. You don't have to, however. One is perfectly sufficient, and I've gone too far back. We're going to assume that she is born June 17th of 1980. Update. Okay. So for this, you kind of just have to make an educated guess whether, for right now, whether you want to start with a platinum client or an LP360 client. But if you're dealing with clients that are in the college space, that they are trying to send their kids to college and figure out how to pay for it, chances are they're going to be platinum clients. So we're just going to leave it that way. And the first thing I'm going to, 1 second, I need to admit people. Admit? Okay. The first thing I'm going to say to a client when we get on a meeting is, well, first I'll introduce myself if we have not previously met, and ask them, why are we here? Anybody feel free to jump in. Why are we here? Anybody? Okay, so some common reasons that I hear are, you know, so-and-so said that you could help us figure out how to send our kids to college without going broke. I've heard, we've got some debt going on. We're trying to figure out retirement. We don't know what to do. The common one really is sending kids to college. However, there are literally a million reasons that somebody could be sitting in front of you. The important thing is that you make them feel like you care about why they're there. That is really it. Because also, if they have secondary reasons other than we're just here to send our kid to college, that's important for you to know so that you can speak to that in the course of your meeting with them. So once they give me a reason that we're here, I will tell them, that's great, guys. That's something that I do solve for. And just to give you guys a 10,000-foot view of, give me 1 second, just admitting people. To give you guys a 10,000-foot view of what I do, I take a very holistic approach to finance. So I want to make sure that everything that we're doing fits into your current lifestyle as well. But what I really do give for my clients is a plan to protect and cover all of life's changes, whether that's homes, cars, colleges, emergencies, vacations, weddings, retirement, legacy, all of it. Whatever it is, we want to make sure that you have a plan for it. We want to make sure that you have the ability to eliminate debt and stay debt-free for life. We want to make sure that you have a guaranteed retirement strategy where you know exactly what you need to comfortably retire and exactly how much income you can draw for the rest of your life. A guaranteed retirement income that is 100 to 150% of the income you're living off of before you retire, protection from all catastrophic events, whether that be a financial event, a market event, or a health-related event. We want to make sure that you have the ability to leave a probate and tax-free inheritance to your heirs. I want to make sure that you guys have a financial education that everyone needs and the ability to pay cash for all large ticket items going forward. How does that sound?
Good.
Awesome. And so you guys can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I basically just summarized all of this. But that is something that you should be able to just rattle off kind of as I did just now, but it is right in front of you. If you have to read it down a couple of times, you can. It's kind of there as a crutch. I mean, every now and again, you may have noticed my eyes darting back and forth to make sure that I hadn't skipped something, but really it's something that you should be able to rattle off and just kind of use this as cues. So at this point, we're going to go to step 1. So in step 1, they've already told me why we're here. So if that is to pay for college, we're going to put that in. So we're going to edit college items. And when is our kid starting school? Anybody? Are they a senior this year, a junior? Are they even in high school yet? What are we doing? Okay, is anybody awake today? Senior in high school. Thank you, Tim. Okay, so if they're a senior in high school right now, that means that they're starting school in 2023. So are we assuming that they're going to college for 4 years?
Yes.
Awesome. This is something that I would ask a client. So if they tell me that their kid is 15, I'm going to ask, okay, so are they a freshman or a sophomore? And I always clarify what year they're starting school. I actually had somebody tell me that their kid just started school the beginning of September, and they're like, oh no, they're not starting school in 2037 or whatever it was that we said. And we actually did the math out and they're like, oh my God, they're starting school in whatever year we decided it was. It was shocking. But yeah, getting them to do that, that math in their head. So if they are a senior in high school, isn't it too late? No, it is not too late. That is why we do what we do. So especially right now, they probably haven't submitted the FAFSA yet. Now is a great time to create urgency with your clients because they need that urgency to get this done quickly because that FAFSA is the deadline. They need to have all of their assets and their entire financial picture sorted so that they don't get completely screwed on FAFSA. For anybody who does not know what FAFSA is, that is the Federal Application for Student Aid. And every student applying for any sort of financial aid must fill one out every year. Okay, so has anybody thought about what it's going to cost to send our kid to college? Anybody? Let me just admit some people. Okay, so I really want to keep this moving because I normally spend an hour and a half on a first appointment with a client, and I'm trying to make sure that we get this in the next 49 minutes. So I might push ahead a little bit. So the common answer I get is somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000. So we're going to say that it's $20,000 for the sake of this illustration, and times 4 years is $80,000. And our attendee name is going to be Sam. Do we have any additional children? This is a question I always ask clients because it's very common that they will tell me about the students they have in high school right now. And yet we're going to assume that the same is true. And I'm not assuming, I'm going to ask them, are we assuming that your second child, I will ask what their name is. We will say Jeff, because it's the first name that popped into my head. Are we also assuming that Jeff is going to go to school for 4 years and it is costing you $20,000 per year out of pocket? Great. This is where I will ask, is this all of the children that you have? Because it's amazing how often people have a third child that is significantly younger that they haven't told us about because they're not planning for right now because that kid is only 8. And they're looking at their 2 kids in high school and going, we need to figure this out right now. But they still need to plan for that kid who's only 8. So they're, 6, 8 years behind the other 2 children. But if we don't have a plan for that, they don't have a plan for that, and they'll be in the same position 6 to 8 years from now. So we need to make sure that we have all of the children accounted for. So for right now, we're going to update for college. Okay, great. So basically what we're looking at here is that it is going to cost you $160,000 over the next 6 years to pay for Sam and Jeff to go to school. Have you guys ever seen it written out like this before?
No.
No, they're all going to say no. Nobody has ever seen it written out like this before. So really what that means is that that's $26,667 per year. So let me ask you this first off. Do you have a financial advisor? And this question is a mixed bag. Some people are going to say yes, and some people are going to say no. If they say no, there is absolutely no point in talking any further about their financial advisor that they don't have for the rest of this appointment. You can still hit on some of the same points, but there's no point in burying someone who doesn't exist. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So if they do have a financial advisor, we're going to ask them what their, awesome, Andrew, thank you for letting me know. We're going to ask them what their financial advisor's plan was to pay for this. What are some answers we might hear?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there is the most common answer. Well, your kid's a senior in high school. You're filling out the FAFSA next month. We're there.
Mhm.
We need to have a plan for how we're going to pay for this right now, today, last week. We're there. We need to have a plan for this. So what are some of the things that you guys have discussed for how you're planning on paying for Sam and Jeff to go to college? And this is where you're going to get resistance. Oh, well, we don't know. This is why we're here. We have, this is why we came to you. Okay, well, have you thought about taking equity out of the house? Have you thought about tapping into the 401ks, the IRAs, whatever? And people will start to get very defensive. And you don't want to push too far, but you do want to get some sort of benchmark for what they've thought about. So something I found that works well is I'm just trying to determine what you guys have already talked about, so we don't need to recanvass the same points. And if you guys have talked about that, but you weren't really sure, we can talk about some benefits or drawbacks to things that you have already thought about. That I'm just trying to find out where you guys are in this conversation. That's the only reason I ask. Most people feel a whole lot better with that answer, that you're genuinely trying to understand where they're coming from, and you're trying to understand their thought process and make sure that they understand all of the repercussions of their decisions, basically. So, we're talking about, give me 1 second, just admitting people. We're talking about Sam going to school next year, okay? And I really want to give you guys a reprieve, because you're probably very stressed out, and a lot of people will very much feel stressed out. There's some tension in the room at this point, because you just beat them to a pulp over the fact that their kid is going to school next year and they don't know how they're paying for it. So let me just give you a reprieve real quick. Have you guys ever heard of Cyril Northcote Parkinson? 99% of people are going to think about it and say they'll either say no, or they're going to hedge and be like, oh, I should know who this person is. And feel like, don't worry about it. Most people don't know who Cyril Northcote Parkinson is. So Cyril Northcote Parkinson was, excuse me, sorry, admitting people. Okay. Cyril Northcote Parkinson was an economist in the early part of the 20th century. And he discovered a whole bunch of laws that, like it or not, know it or not, all of us are subject to. And the first of those laws, and we will open up our lovely little window right here so that they can read it at the same time we're saying it. The first of Parkinson's laws is that work expands as to fill the time available for its completion. So really what that means is, if Sam has a school project, right, and he has 4 weeks to get that project done, when is it done? When is it actually finished?
5 minutes to the hour. That's
Yeah.
when you give it done.
The night before it's due. The night before it's due. And guys, your kid is not lazy. They're not procrastinators. They are subject to Parkinson's law. This is Parkinson's law, that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Even if your kid is ahead of everything and very much on the ball, they are going to tweak it until the very last minute. And that is the same in life. We are the same. We're not bad people. We're not behind. We're not disorganized. We're just subject to Parkinson's law. We may have known for 17 years that our kid was going to go to college. And, at the year before they're going, we're now trying to figure out how to pay for it. It's Parkinson's law. So what we're going to do now is exactly what we need to do. We're going to figure out that plan to make sure that you can pay for it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So let's take a look at that. So now we go to step 2. So you guys have a current financial lifestyle. So you guys get paychecks. Are you contributing to qualified funds at all? For this example, we're going to say that they are. Anybody? Okay. So yes, so you guys are contributing to qualified funds. So your money goes into your qualified funds, then you get a paycheck. It goes into your monthly budget. You pay your bills. At the end of the month, your leftover money goes into the bank, the emergency fund, the savings account, whatever you call it. Does this sound familiar?
Yep.
Perfect. So you guys are 42 and 45 respectively. And when were you guys planning on retiring? Have you thought about that?
65.
65? Awesome. So we're going to come in and we're going to put 65. We're going to put, so both of you are retiring at 65?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll update that. Okay. And out of curiosity, just ballpark, do you know how much you have in retirement accounts right now?
Good question.
Just ballpark. Just admit some people.
Say 75,000.
$75,000. Awesome. Do you know how much, have you thought about it all? How much you need to retire?
More than 75,000.
So just for the sake of time, the most common answer I get is somewhere between 1 million and 2. So for this example, we'll just call it 1.25, just so that we can keep going. If they have a financial advisor, I'm going to ask them how much their financial advisor said that they need to retire. Because I can tell you that nobody's financial advisor has ever told them how much they need to retire. Update. Okay. So basically we've been saving for 22 years and we have $75,000, which is actually really good. And we need another just over $1 million to retire, and we've got another 20 years to go. So let me ask you a question. Do you guys make more money now or at the first job you had right after you guys graduated college?
Of course, more money now.
You make more money now. But did you have more expendable cash to do just whatever with when you first graduated or now?
When I first graduated.
When you first graduated, but you said that you make more money now. Why is that?
More expenses.
More expenses.
Children.
So children, exactly. You have responsibilities now. So remember how we talked about Cyril Northcote Parkinson?
Mhm.
He actually had a second law, if I can find my mouse. And that second law is absolutely brutal. It says expenses rise to match the available income. So basically what that means is, have you ever paid off a car?
Yes.
So saying that car was a $500 car payment, did you have an extra $500 flowing into your savings account the month after you paid off the car?
No.
Why not?
I spent it.
You spent it.
Mhm.
Do you know what the number one thing people do as soon as they pay off a car is?
Buy another one.
They go buy another car. That is Parkinson's law number 2, that expenses are always going to rise to match the available income. So when we pay off debts or whatever else, we incur more expenses because we feel that we have so much free money. So the way around that is to give those dollars, those free dollars, a new job, because idle money are like idle hands. Have anybody ever heard the phrase idle hands are the devil's playthings?
Yep.
Exactly. So idle money is the same thing. If you have money without a job, it will find something to do that may or may not be achieving your financial goals. So the trick is to always keep your money achieving your financial goals. So this right here in the middle is what we call our life wheel. So we know that we've got college for both kids. And once the kids graduate college, are you going to help them pay for weddings? Was that part of the plan?
No.
Maybe, no, undecided. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the kids get married, they're off living their lives. They've got tiny little 1-bedroom apartments. Congratulations, mom and dad. You're about to be grandparents for the first time. So now that 1-bedroom apartment is no longer big enough for your child, their spouse, and your new grandbaby. Would you help them with the down payment?
Sure.
Sure, maybe, no, we're going to get a lot of these answers. Well, I mean, obviously you're not going to help them with a down payment if you just absolutely cannot afford it, because that would be outside of the realm of possibility. But if it is something that you could afford, might that be something you would consider?
Yes.
And honestly, you can just let that hang. They don't have to answer the question. It's just something that you can kind of plant seeds of possibility. You're planting seeds. So, okay, let me ask you another question. How often do you guys buy new cars? Or even new to you cars?
Every 3 years, 5 years.
Every 3 to 5 years? Okay, great. So let's call it 5 years. How much do you spend on a new to you car?
20 grand.
$20,000. Okay, great. So between now and retirement, you guys are going to need another, let's say, 4 cars each. So that's 8 cars times $20,000. So that's $160,000 that you guys will be spending on cars. And we all know that emergencies happen, right? Life just happens. The roof leaks, the water heater breaks, something can go wrong. Guys, can we mind background noise, please? Thank you. So, life happens. Is it possible that all of these things could happen at the same time?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. One kid could be graduating from college while the other one is, getting married, and all of a sudden they're having a baby and they need a house and the car breaks down and you have another emergency. And from all of that, the stress of it all, you need a vacation, right? When was the last time you guys actually took a vacation? And I don't mean a staycation and I don't mean a sportcation. I mean an actual vacation.
Hey,
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Why?
Busy. Not enough money.
Not enough money? Sorry, let me just admit some people really quick. Okay. So not enough money. That makes me sad, guys, because my clients have a plan that they can look at their budget and their finances, and they have a plan to be able to take the vacations that they want to be able to take. So, okay. So looking at our life wheel and knowing that we're spending $160,000 on college, and we're going to be spending another $160,000 on cars, and there's going to be emergencies and vacations and things that happen. How certain are we that we're going to get to this $1.25 million in retirement if we have saved $75,000 over the last 22 years and we've got 20 years to go until retirement?
Doesn't look good.
Not looking good?
No.
Well, what was your advisor's plan to get there?
Just keep saving money.
Just keep saving money? But all of these things are going to happen before retirement, and we've been concentrating on retirement, and you didn't have a plan for these things either. So, how does that make you guys feel that with the uncertainty?
Uncertain.
Not good, right?
Okay.
What if we had a plan that would be guaranteed to work to get you to a plan that you can pay for college, you can pay for weddings, you can get new cars when you need them. You don't have to worry about emergencies because you're covered. And with all of that, you'll still be able to retire when you want to.
That would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Shall we build that?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So to see where we're going, we need to know where we are, right?
Right.
So do you mind if we dive into precisely what your financial life looks like right now so that we can build you a plan to get to your financial goals? Somebody please say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Notice. Awesome. So notice that I'm going through this and I'm constantly asking for permission. I'm constantly trying to get involvement from my client. I could role play by myself all day long, but I'm trying to get you guys to participate so that you feel what it is sort of like to sit with an actual client. I have not given anybody any numbers really to give me, so I don't know precisely how this build is going to go. The point of me not knowing is that it works. No matter what they come up with, I can make it work. So, okay, let's start with your income. So what is the client's personal yearly income?
$8,000.
Sorry? I know somebody said something, I didn't get it.
I think you said
80,000.
80,000? Okay. All I got was 1,000 and then, okay. So Is this client contributing to qualified funds?
Yes.
Yes. Is it a 401k or a 403b?
401.
401k. What is their monthly contribution? You can even give me a percentage and I can do the math.
I say 10%.
10%? Okay, so I will drag out my calculator. So 10% of 80,000 is 8,000, but just so you guys can see it. And now we're going to divide by 12. So $667. Is it matched?
No,
No, it's not matched. Awesome. And what is the current balance of this account?
75,000.
$75,000. Awesome. What is the spouse's yearly income?
Say 50,000.
$50,000. Are they contributing to qualified funds?
No.
Not at all. Okay. Update. Okay. Does this family have any other retirement accounts? An old IRA, a rollover 401k, a Roth, anything?
So let's say they have a Roth.
We'll say that they have a Roth.
$5,000 in a Roth.
5,000 in the Roth.
Mhm.
Okay. And what are they contributing monthly?
Say $100.
$100 a month. 1 second. 100 times 12 times 5. Can we say that there's $6,000 in the Roth?
Okay.
Okay. The reason for that is because they can't touch it for 5 years.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that we're accommodating that. Okay. So we'll update that. Any other retirement accounts? Maybe an old IRA, an inherited IRA, anything like that? Anybody? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, so let's talk about assets. So we're going to assume that they have a savings account. How much are they contributing monthly to savings? Anybody? Let me let people in. Okay, we're gonna say that they are contributing $400 a month to savings and that it has a balance of $15,000. Update. Any other assets, mutual funds, anything else? Inherited accounts. Okay, I'm going to say that they have a mutual fund and that they are contributing $50 a month to it. And their current balance is $5,000. And you'll see why I want to have that in a minute. Any other assets? Okay. Does this family own a home?
No,
They don't own a home?
no. No home.
Interesting.
You're renting.
They're renting. Okay. Chances are this family would own a home, but we can do it without one. That's fine. What about debts? we're gonna say that they have a car loan for kicks and giggles. How much are they paying monthly on that car?
$200.
$200. We'll call it his car. And what is the current balance on that car?
$7,500.
$7,500. Update. Do they have a second car debt at all?
Yeah.
Car, and what is the monthly payment on that?
$350.
$350.
Nathan Herzog, DMS replacement.
Hello.
And you got $10,000 balance.
$10,000 balance on that. Okay, update. Okay. Any other debts? Credit cards?
I guess
Okay. What type of card is this?
Visa.
Visa. And what are they paying monthly?
$250.
What's the current balance?
12 grand.
$12,000?
Yeah.
Any other debts that they have? And if they owe $12,000, their minimum payment's a lot more than $250.
Oh,
And that's something that I might ask them. So can we say that their current balance is like $4 grand?
Okay.
Well, actually, at $4,000, it's probably about $100 a month. No, it's $150 a month. So we'll say it's like $9,000. Update. And we'll say that they have a good payment history because otherwise it would be a lot higher. Okay. Any other debts that they have? Might they have a second credit card? So what's the monthly payment on this one? Okay, we'll call it 150. We will call it a store card. And we'll say that the current balance is like $950. Update. You know, that's their favorite department store that they do all of their shopping at. Any student debt, any they don't own a home, anything else? What other types of debt do we have? So we've got cars, we've got credit cards. Do we have any student loans at all? No, yes, no, maybe.
No.
Okay. Close. Awesome. So, and this is a full picture of everything that you guys have going on right now, correct?
Right.
Okay. So they're making $130,000 and they don't own. I'm just doing some thinking about how typical this client would be. And for somebody making $130,000, I'm going to say that they either own a home or they have a lot more debt. So Andrew wants to see that they have a student loan. Okay. So we'll go to debt. Type is student loan. And for kicks and giggles, we'll call it $600 a month because student loan repayments are brutal. And we're going to say that this is another $10,000. Okay, update. So for this family, I'm going to make an executive decision just so you guys can see how this works and say that they do have a mortgage. How long have they had this mortgage? Anybody throw out a number? 10 years. Awesome. Thank you very much, Timothy. So they've had this for 10 years. We're assuming that it's a 30-year note. Yes. So they get 20 years left. How much is the home worth? Anybody? Shall we say $400,000? 550. Awesome. And how much do they owe on it still? If they've been paying it for 10 years, shall we say that they owe 375, 350, 420? Okay. And what is their monthly payment? And this is principal and interest only. So when you guys are sitting down with clients, letting them know that it is principal and interest only is important, because tax and insurance are bills that do not go away no matter what. Principal and interest is fixed. So $2,400. Awesome. Update. Okay, great. So this is the full financial picture that we have going on right now, guys. So what we'd like to do at this point is build the Smith family plan to be able to pay for college, right? So what I would like to do is to walk you guys through building a bank. Okay?
Okay,
Okay. So what does a bank have? It has cash and cash flow, right?
Hmm.
So which one is more important? Cash, which is a big pile of money, or cash flow, which is income? Which one's more important?
They're both important, but I would look at the cash flow for sure.
The cash flow is more important, right? And guys, it does not matter what they say here. What matters is that you make them feel smart. So if they say both, awesome. You guys are way ahead of the curve to know that you need both a pile of money and income to make a bank work, because you can't have money going out if money's not coming in, because that cash will go away very quickly. So diminish, that's the word I'm looking for. Deplete. Anywho, that being said, whatever their answer is, just go with it. You cannot have money going out if you don't have money to begin with. You can't have money going out if you don't have money coming in. The point is to make them feel smart here. Either way, they go with it. So awesome. So can we look at each one of these items individually to see a way that we could possibly look at them differently to create the Smith Family Bank?
Sure.
Awesome. So why don't we start at the top, and we'll look at this 401k. Are you familiar with Ted Penna at all?
No.
Most people are going to say no, and it's right along with Cyril Northcote Parkinson that most people haven't, and that's okay. So Ted Penna actually created the 401k in the late 70s, and he did an interview with the Wall Street Journal several years back, and he was actually very dismayed at the way the 401k has been implemented in American society. And Ted Penna, the creator of the 401k, actually said that money that is not matched may be better in another vehicle. So that being said, if the creator of the 401k thinks that money that isn't matched might be better off in another vehicle, can we possibly reallocate the non-matched percentage of your 401k contribution into your bank? Somebody please say yes. Okay. So the non-matched portion is 67. And for those of us who are not familiar with this, a 403b is never matched. So that would fall into the same category where it's all of it's unmatched money. So we'll update that. And when people start to balk, they're like, well, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And if you are not sure that you're going to be able to make it work without adding that, simply say, You know, it's not, nothing's written in stone. We're just moving fake numbers from column A to column B. If you don't like the way it looks, we can move them back. Nothing has actually changed. And that usually makes people feel a little bit more comfortable because you're kind of just writing up numbers to see how it looks. And if they don't like it, you don't have to do anything. Okay, so let me ask you a question. What is this Roth for?
Retirement.
For retirement. So we're going to say that that's a positive event, right?
Yeah,
So also, could this ever be taxed?
no,
Well, if you needed this money for anything prior to 59 and a half, could it be taxed or penalized?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. The growth on it could be taxed, and if you use it before 59 and a half, it would be subject to penalties, right? So also, is this guaranteed to not lose money, guaranteed to grow?
no,
No? Okay. So what if you could put it somewhere that you'd have full access to it, you'd be guaranteed to never lose money, guaranteed to grow, and it would never be taxed or penalized? Would that be of interest to you?
sure,
So could we reallocate this money into the Smith Family Bank to see how it looks?
sure,
Okay. And would we be comfortable moving this $6,000 into the cash pile in the Smith Family Bank to see if that helps us?
wouldn't they get penalized?
It would be pretty small because if their balance is $6,000, we've said that they're contributing $100 a month times 12 months times 5 years is $6,000. So they're really not getting that much of a penalty because it's such a small amount of money.
Okay,
So in theory, it could get penalized, but not a whole lot.
mhm,
So normally, if this is a larger number, like if this is $20,000 or $30,000,
mhm,
I'm not going to do that. I would be more likely to roll it into an annuity to protect its existing value. But where it's such a small amount of money and they have so much debt, they need to get out of debt.
got it. Got it,
So that's why I have you guys throw the numbers at me for the most part, to direct the conversation to see how we're gonna talk about things. So okay,
Wouldn't that penalty be $600 since it's a 10% penalty?
yes, but they're also not really getting taxed on it because there's no gain whatsoever in that account. So all told, and also if they don't pay off some of these debts, how much is debt service costing them?
mhm,
So which is worse? Is it the debt service or is it the $600 penalty?
right,
So again, these are all things that we need to take into consideration. If this was more money and they didn't need it to pay off debt, I wouldn't move the Roth
right,
because I would protect what already exists
mhm,
and leave that for their future.
right,
You know, when we start getting into $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, which I have seen clients that have that, 99 times out of 100, I'm not recommending that they cannibalize that money. But in this situation, they've got over $30,000 in debt. We need to figure out how we're getting rid of that.
Wouldn't you, if you're going to roll it, I thought you mentioned that you would roll that money over into an annuity instead of just leaving it there.
Yeah. But for $6,000, most annuities aren't even going to accept that. So when you start getting upwards of $10,000, that's where you can reasonably roll it into an annuity. we might maybe talk about it if they have so much debt that they can't get out of it and they don't have other assets to pay those off. But for the most part, a Roth is not something I cannibalize. However, in this instance, they don't have a lot of assets and they do have a lot of debt. So again,
I-
we're moving.
I understand.
Right now, we're moving fake numbers from column A to column B. And we're going to show everything that's possible. And then we're going to weigh out what we actually want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at savings. So what is this for? This $15,000, what is that for?
emergency.
Emergency? Okay,
Mhm.
great. So can you tell me an example of when you might need $15,000 in cash in less than 48 hours?
Mm. Mm,
Anything?
no, I think I could dance around 48 hours.
Okay, awesome. So if you had access to this money, also, is this taxable? Is this money taxable?
Yes.
How is it taxable?
The
Oh,
gains are
well,
taxable.
yeah,
The gains are taxable, so that 0.5% of interest that you get, that 15 cents a quarter, that is taxable income. Also, is this guaranteed?
mm. What, the 15% interest?
No, the account, is it guaranteed?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still guaranteed because it's in the savings account. So the FDIC insures it up to $250,000. So
mhm.
we know that this is guaranteed. We know that it's liquid, but you're making such a small percentage of interest. Is it really even outpacing inflation? So could your money be going backwards even though you don't realize it?
Yeah,
Yeah. So if you had full liquidity to this money within 72 hours, it was guaranteed to grow, guaranteed to never lose money, and you would never get taxed or penalized on it. How of this $400, how much would you be comfortable reallocating to the Smith Family Bank every month?
Let's
Well,
just do it all.
yeah.
Do it all? Okay.
Why not?
I'm gonna say we should do like 75%. Most people are, for the record, are gonna say about half. So
Really?
we'll say 75% just so that you have something immediately in case you decide to, I don't know, go on a day trip somewhere and you want cash. You're going to go to a fair or something. You need cash right now. So we'll say we'll reallocate $300 a month. And of this $15,000, shall we say that we'll reallocate the same 75%?
Okay.
Is that comfortable, or did you want to use a different number?
No, 75% is fine.
Okay, great. So $15,000 times 0.75 is 11,250. 11,250. Update. Okay, great. So this mutual fund, what is this for? Actually, I think I'm going to take this one because I want to go a couple of different ways with it. So I have had clients tell me that they put like 50 or $100 a month into their mutual fund, and they genuinely get a personal boost out of seeing those pings on their phone. You made 12 cents, you made $1.50, that they're making money. So this is not an asset, this is a hobby. So I want to make you guys aware of that because that will come across your desk. You will have clients that, oh yes, I have investment accounts, and it's not an asset, it's a hobby. You'd be taking away a piece of their lifestyle to suggest that they cannibalize this. We might talk about if they have a significant amount of money in the balance and they have a significant amount of debt. We might talk about saying, well, could we possibly, and you don't have to, just food for thought, apply a portion of this that you have made as proceeds to getting rid of some of that debt. And let them answer. If they don't want to do it, let it go. But if, I've had other clients who've got $90,000 in a mutual fund that they are not contributing anything to, but they inherited it from some great uncle. And, it's just kind of there. I don't want to do anything with it, but they're sitting on $100,000 of student debt. That's costing them $1,200 a month. So, things like that. These types of things are going to shape the conversation that you have. And I just realized that it is 5 of, so we need to book through this. So we're going to leave that alone. We're also going to ask for permission to pay off their debts. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly. We're going to pay these off. And I know that we cannot pay all of these off, but for this example, we are going to pay them off. And if we had more time, I would go through the example of which ones to pay off first. Somebody remind me next week that I need to show you guys how to do that. But for this example, we're going to pay them off. So that leaves us $20,000 in the hole. So really, the only way to do that is to refinance the house. So, and this is a different conversation that we would have with them about refinancing. So they can borrow $440,000. Oh, wow. We can only borrow $440,000. Okay. So I guess they're refinancing at 80%. We're just going to say that they only owe 410 just for kicks and giggles so that this actually works.
You got the interest rate at 3.5.
Yeah, I know. We'll do that in a second. Come on. Okay. So interest rate is 6%. What is that gonna do?
It's almost 7 now. It's going up to 6.8.
6.8. Okay.
You got amount to borrow at 440. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, because they owe. Actually, no, we're not. We're gonna borrow 432. Refresh. Okay, so basically what we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to get rid of all of their debt, which we know we need $20,000 to be able to do that. And they really don't have all that much equity in this house. But we also don't want to max that out necessarily because we are putting them in the hole in terms of redirecting their cash flow. So it's going to cost them $400 and something a month to pay off all of their debt. But is that better? What is the benefit? So the benefit really becomes that they are now only required to pay one monthly payment. They have one interest rate that, the Visa and the store card is probably, 24% interest. Their student loans could be anywhere from 8 to 12% interest. The cars are somewhere in the vicinity of 5 to 10% interest. So even paying a 7% loan on their house, they still have a lower interest payment than all of these other debts. So getting rid of that is going to benefit them. So that being said, they're now completely out of debt and they are saving $2,600 a month. And really it's $2,200 a month because of the increase in the mortgage payment. But for the sake of time, we're going to go through it this way because I want to make sure that you guys see this. So why don't we see how this plays out over the next 20 years? Awesome. Okay, so the Department of Labor did a survey in 2017, and they determined that it costs $233,000 for a family of 4 making $100,000 to raise a child from birth to 18, and that's a nationwide average. Up in the urban Northeast, we're paying significantly more than that. In the urban Midwest, we're paying slightly less than that. rural areas are less expensive. That being said, what that boils down to is about $1,100 a month. And remember Parkinson's law. If we don't recapture these dollars, they disappear into the ethos, never to be seen again. So I'm not suggesting that you're going to recapture $1,100, mom and dad, but do you think that we could recapture, say, $800 a month once your kid is off at school and you are paying $20,000 a year for their tuition, their room and board?
Sure.
Yes, awesome. So we're going to toggle that. So this year, we're going to be saving $31,000. So in 2023, we're going to be saving $31,000 because that's what we're saving annually. We're also going to be saving $10,000 because Sam is going off to school, but we're going to be spending $20,000 on Sam to be in school, which really means that we're adding $21,000 to our bank. So in 2023, we will have $31,000 in our bank. 2024, rinse, repeat. 2025, Jeff joins. So we're saving $31,000 because we always have. We're saving $20,000, $10,000 per kid because now they're both off at school. And we're spending $40,000 because they're both in school. So really what we're adding to our bank is $11,000. 2026 is rinse repeat. 2027, what happens? Sam graduates. So we're saving $31,000 because we always have. We're saving $20,000 because Sam has graduated college, gotten a job, gotten an apartment, and is off living his life, and Jeff is still in school. But now we're only spending $20,000 for school. So we're saving $31,000 a year. In 2028, it's rinse repeat. 2029, congratulations, mom and dad. Jeff graduates college. You are now child free. Both of them are off in little apartments. They have their job. They're living their lives. You're saving $31,000 a year because you always have. We're saving $20,000 a year because both kids are off living their lives, which means that for the next 15 years, we are saving $51,000 a year. So really, what does this mean? So in 2042, we now have $857,000 in our bank. What does this column not include?
Accruing interest.
Accruing interest. This is what I refer to as the cash in a tin can column. If you took these dollars and stuffed them in a tin can and stuffed it under your bed, you would have $857,000 in that tin can in 2042. What if you could get a guaranteed 40% growth over the next 20 years? How would that make you feel?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Shall we take a look at what that looks like?
Mhm.
Show me. So our guaranteed growth gets us to $1.2 million. So really just shy of what our original goal was. So right now we have $75,000, total of 83 really, in other retirement accounts. Is that going to grow over the next 20 years?
Sure, hopefully.
How much is it going to grow?
Mhm.
Do we think, well, what do we think it'll do? How much, what do you think your average annual percentage rate is going to be over the next 20 years?
Hopefully at least 4 or 5%.
4%. Awesome. So are we familiar with Einstein's rule of 72?
Yeah.
So for anybody who's not, Einstein's rule of 72 says that you divide your interest rate into 72 and it will tell you how many years it will take your money to double. So at 4% interest, your money will double in 18 years. So we have 20 years. So will it grow? We can say that it'll double, right?
Right.
So that brings us to $167,000 and a total retirement value of $1.4 million after we paid for the kids to go to school. How does that make you feel, mom and dad?
Better.
Okay, awesome. So we are now at 5 past. My apologies for going over time. This is where I would normally stop appointment 1. I will have them take photos or screenshots or whatever of this page that we've gone over, and I'll give them homework to go home, have a discussion about what if this could really work for us? Do we think this will really work for us? Do we have any questions? And we'll set an appointment and talk about, because right now all we've talked about is building them a plan. We haven't said one word about where we're going to put it. We haven't talked at all about vehicles or any of that. And that is what we will do next week. Does anybody have any questions before we adjourn for the day? Anybody?
Yeah.
Awesome. So just one other thing. I know that I did railroad this a little bit because, somebody who's in that income bracket I deal with all the time. I more or less see what they have going on. And most people in that income bracket I find already own a house. If they don't have a house, they probably either have a lot more debt or they have almost no debt. One way or another, that's going to be two different conversations that you're going to have. But I wanted to show you guys kind of the average picture for the sake of this training. At a future date, we will go over that. So
Hello,
hi, Robert, how are you?
how are you? I just have one question. Is it difficult to convince people? You're gonna have two meetings with them, the initial financial discovery, which this probably what that is. And then they have 2 or 3 days to come back and discuss vehicles and other things like that. Is it difficult
Usually
to
not.
convince? It's not difficult.
Usually not, because once we get to this point, we've talked about so many different things that they are like hitting that wall of
Yes.
overwhelmed. There
Oh.
are a couple of groups of people. I find that realtors will want to continue. And moms are usually more the one that want to continue and just get it done. But at this point, you've been sitting with a client for an hour and a half and they are a little overwhelmed. And yeah, it's usually not very difficult to convince people to make a second appointment at this point, because they're also excited that you've just given them hope that they can pay for their kids to go to school and they can still retire.
It was more than they thought they would have. Yes.
Yeah, with more than they thought they would have. So yeah, it 9 times out of 10, it's going to work out that you can build a plan and at least get them close to what they wanted to achieve. And you can talk to that a little bit more. And we can go into depth on that in future trainings. So we're working on getting the recordings up in the software. I will keep you guys posted on that as that happens. So that everybody has them on demand. Were there any other questions about anything that we talked about today? Awesome. So my apologies for running a couple minutes over. I do try to keep them pretty close to time. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to email me. I will put my email in the chat. If I could spell my own name, that would be great. ICAN Financial. Keywords at iCanFinancial.com. Okay, so that's my email for anybody who has any questions, comments, concerns. If you have any topics that you would like to see me train on in future sessions, please let me know. I'm happy to do any sort of financial topics that are of concern to you guys. Other than that, have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.